Everyone's ready to learn a couple of cool things? Yeah? Okay, good. So first, I'm going to explain a little bit more about me, then I'm going to cover some common marketing questions. After that, it's the top things that we're going to do for your office in order. After that, it's some common marketing mistakes that a lot of offices make. I like to make that joke, mistakes instead of mistakes. Top marketing FAQ questions, a little bit about Dr. Marketing, and then towards the end I'll cover some questions, cases, and other sort of details. Now, a little bit about me. Yes, I've been in dental marketing since 2014, working with Dr. Marketing, but I've actually been in dental marketing really since like 2008, working both advertising and telecom, both for Rogers, Bell, actually, and for TELUS. One cool award I won was to fly out to Google headquarters in California to go learn how they do their search engine marketing, like firsthand. I didn't take it. I had a scheduling conflict, but that would have been pretty cool because it was an all expenses paid trip for like a week. Next time I ever win that award, for sure I'm going to go out there. Anybody have any questions on my background at all? Perfect. Next, common marketing questions. There are 5 questions that come up whenever we start going down this path for advertising. Very first question we want to take a look at. Well, here we go. How much do I spend? Everyone wants to know that. What do I spend on marketing? Second question they typically ask is what platform? So now that I've been told how much I should spend, where should I spend it? Like Google, Facebook, print. Do I advertise on dating websites? Not getting any matches, swipe right. You know, like I can help you get a better smile type thing. Next question they typically ask is who do I promote my ads to? Geographically and demographically. After that is how do I rank higher on Google? And then my personal favorite, what happens if I do this and it doesn't work? So I'm going to answer all these questions throughout the presentation, but does anybody have any additional questions that we're kind of hoping to get answers on? No? Awesome. One question.
In comparison to other, I don't know what your competitors are doing.
Oh, okay. So how would we compare to a competitor? I could flip that question right back to you. You're a dentist, right? Okay. Let's say you are. Okay. What would be different? Why would a patient choose to come to your office versus the dentist down the street? It's not your educational background. Maybe they went to the same school. It's not how many staff you have or how friendly you are. It's how you do it. Right? You have access to the same tools. Right? They do websites, we do website. They do marketing, we do marketing. But the way we interpret it and the way we use it is vastly different. And that's what I'll explain throughout this, okay? So, top 16 things you want to do for your office. First thing you want to take a look at are domains. Now, there's 2 types of domains. You've got business name domains like brandondentistry.com. So people who know you are able to find you. Then you get keyword-based domains. These are typically tied to a service, location, or industry. You would register a keyword-based domain if your business name was not available. So if brandondentistry.com is already taken, you would register like dentistintoronto.com or children'sdentistintoronto.com or dentalimplantintoronto.com, something like that. Okay? Now, when it comes to business name domains, you want to protect your identity. And so at the ending of a domain, it's called a suffix. There's lots of suffixes, .rocks, .me, .dental, .metal, .io, .com, like it goes on. There's tens of thousands of different endings. If you showed every single one of those endings to the average person, they would only click on 6. Okay, .com, .net, .biz, .info, .org, and .ca. So to protect your identity, what you want to do is register brandondentistry.com, brandondentistry.net, brandondentistry.org, biz, info, and ca. You want to register all 6 of them. All it does is protect your identity. It doesn't do anything for optimization. You're simply doing it so somebody else in another province or in another country doesn't register a variation of your name and basically hold it hostage. So when somebody Googles Brandon Dentistry, you get 2 or 3 different Brandon Dentistry showing up. Okay? Now for keyword-based domains, you don't have to do that. So if you go after a keyword-based domain, you just do 1. There's nothing there to protect. Dentistintoronto.com, right? Like it's not your business name, it's just who you are and kind of where you are. Okay? Now, second thing, for keyword-based domains, do not register multiple domains just for the sake of owning them. Google does not care. The only thing Google cares about is that there is a domain and there is a website attached to it. Everything else, all other domains that are forwarded to your website do 0 for search engine optimization. So don't go online registering like cosmeticdentistnearme.com, pediatricdentistnearme.com, Invisalign, like Google honestly doesn't care. Okay, so don't waste your money doing stuff like that. Now, anytime you register a domain, your information is public knowledge, which means if I'm a spammer, I could actually go to one of these databases that have the public information available, scrape your information, personal details, sell it to 1,000 people, and spam the hell out of you until the end of time. So to prevent that from happening, you want to redact it all. So you basically add a security blanket to the domain that hides all your personal information from being visible. So it's going to hide phone, fax, email, address, cell, everything. It'll just say redacted for every piece of information. Does anybody have any questions on the domain at all? Pretty simple. Now, domain costs are pretty cheap. Like usually you can get them anywhere from like 15 to 30 bucks per year, depending on the suffix. The security for the domain is anywhere from about $5 to as much as about $30 per suffix. So per year, you're looking at anywhere between like 30 and 50 bucks a year per domain. It's not expensive. Okay, but you want to do it the right way. After that are emails. Now, how many of you have a HIPAA compliant email address or PIPEDA compliant? Does anybody know if theirs is with security protocols enabled? How many of you use a Gmail account to communicate with patients, like @gmail.com, hotmail.com, yahoo.com, msn.com? Okay, the odds of you going to spam when you email a patient is about 70%. And that's not because of something you did, it's not because of something the patient did, that's how free email accounts work. So when you email someone, 70% of the time you're going straight into their spam box. And that's because an incoming mail server picks up your message and they're like, ugh, you again? Spam, right? And that's just what happens. With custom emails, it's only 12%, right? So you want to maintain like info@brandondentistry.com at all costs. Now, I will, for those people that just came in, if you have questions, please just jot them down. I'll try to answer them throughout or at the end of the presentation, okay? Now, aside from it going into their inbox more, it also looks much more professional. Imagine dentaltemp101@gmail.com. If you're emailing another office asking for patient records or asking the patient to email you their medical information, do you think that they're going to email it to an email like that? Probably not, right? So info@Coulter's Mill Dental, as an example, would be ideal. Now, patients are smart. They can actually take the suffix, pop it into Google, and have it populate your website, but you can't do that from a Gmail account. So this is why a custom email is always preferred. Now, with medical grade emails, you want to make sure that there are some security features that you have enabled. So one of those is data backup. You delete something, you can restore it. Contact, sent, received, message, folder, whatever. Malware protection helps fight against viruses. So if you get an email like, hey, click here for your unpaid invoice, don't click on it, it's a virus. But this protection allows that virus to stay in the email and doesn't migrate it to your inbox. Anti-phishing software does in the top corner, but it works for you, which means if you get an email from a known spammer, that email goes straight to your spam box and not your inbox. Email encryption. Anybody know how to use an email encryption to send secure messages? Show of hands. Anybody know how to do it? Basically, in the subject line in parentheses, you're going to write the word encrypt, specific type of parentheses, like that one, okay? You're going to write the word encrypt. When you send a message to the patient or to the other office, they're going to basically get the message saying, hey, please log into the secure server in order to read the message. They've got to click it, go to the secure server, create an account, see the message, reply, then I get a message that you've replied to it. And then that's how we have to go back and forth to secure, to have proper security for specifically the things that need to be encrypted. If you're just confirming in a patient appointment, you don't have to encrypt, okay? Desktop and mobile integration means if you read it on your phone, it's also read on your desktop so you don't reply to the same thing. And then 50 gigs of storage. That's enough for 250,000 emails. It's a lot. It's about 40,000 patient record emails, okay? Typically that can fill up within 3 to 5 years. Anybody any questions on the email at all? Perfect. Next is a website. So how websites have been designed over the last 30 years is that website marketing companies have typically designed a server and built websites for those servers. Now, website hosting does not generate a lot of money, just so we're on the same page. Like, we make money with the services after the website, so the marketing services. So website companies have historically needed to make more money, so what do? They build better servers with better websites, and they do this every 6 months like clockwork. And that's how they get you to pay to upgrade, because they stop maintaining the old stuff. So when you don't pay to upgrade your website's on an old server, what ends up happening is that when people try to engage with your website, oops, it doesn't load. Or a widget's broken, or security license isn't there, or 404 page error, the link is broken. And this is very common with how websites have been designed over the last like 30 years. Now, with Doctor marketing, we don't do that. What we do is when we introduce new tech to our server, we just give it to you. Right? I don't want to do tedious work of redesigning your website every 3 to 5 years. It's boring. Right? Work off the existing site design and then just update it as you go along. It's a lot easier to maintain something like that. Now, there are 3 parts to building a website. The first is the design of the website itself. Logo goes here, navigation tabs go there, phone button goes there. Pretty simple. After that is the content. So this is the actual verbiage, the images, the videos that you put on the website itself. Color schemes, things like that. After that is the technology. It's how the website functions. If I click the phone button, it's going to dial your number, right? If I click the logo, it's going to go to your home page, stuff like that. So if there is a problem, it could have a cascading effect of failures across the entire website. You know, you go to a page, but then you can't click back to the previous page. It's like, what the hell happened? So you have to make sure that all 3 of these are kind of like in sync. Now, we could literally, like how websites are designed, just so we're clear, like all of us, we could work together one-on-one. I could build an entire website with you in 2 days. Like website, a 50-page website, content, everything designed the way you want. Website designs are not complicated these days. However, the time frame can be pushed back longer than 2 days, depending on how quickly you can respond to your website designer with the information. Right? If it takes you a week to design, that pushes the design a week. Okay? Now, some important tips to keep in mind. Simplify it. Don't just put a bunch of random content. Man, I scroll through websites sometimes and it's like, when do I get to the bottom of this damn thing? Like, don't overload it, okay? And I'll explain why in just a couple of slides. Review it constantly. Typically for like staffing changes, you know, service changes, things like that. You want to test it out. So any link that you have on your website, make sure that it's actually working. Use the chatbot feature. Use the phone call feature. Submit a form. Make sure that it functions. And then update it. If you notice any problems, update it. Now, our system can only track about 98.6%. I say about, but it's 98.6% of problems. The other 1.4 comes from you. It's your staffing changes and your contact information updates, like your hours. If any of those things change, those updates typically come from you. We can't spot those, okay? So you can't just rely on your website company to do everything. There is a little part that you have to be involved with. Any questions on the website design at all? Perfect. We got the domain, email, and website. What's next? Optimization. There's 2 types of optimization. You have static and you've got dynamic. Static optimization is built per page, meaning I'm going to have a page for root canals, I'm going to have a page for implants, I'm going to have a page for peds, cosmetic, bonding, emergencies, and everything else that you do. There are specific keywords that are attached to each page. So on the implant page, it's missing tooth, dental implant, all on X, full arch. On the emergency page, it's chipped tooth, bleeding gums, cracked tooth, emergency dentist. You with me so far? Okay. Now the dynamic optimization is a dynamic combination that's attached to the static. So let's just take the word emergency dentist. It could be emergency dentist, static. Near me is dynamic. Emergency dentist open now. Emergency dentist open weekends. Child emergency dentist who speaks Spanish. Female emergency dentist. You see, one static keyword could have 5 to as many as 50 or 100 different dynamic combinations. So each website could have hundreds of static and thousands of different keyword combinations. Okay, but you have to make sure that your keywords are going to be page specific, specifically for the static keywords. Because what ends up happening, a lot of marketing companies, and I see this all the time, they're going to take all your keywords and just copy and paste page per page per page per page. And what ends up happening is the patient types in a keyword looking for root canals, they land on implants, and they're like, the hell is this, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to bounce out of your website. I'm going to leave. I'm sure all of you have heard of a bounce rate before. That's what that is. They get somewhere, they don't like what they see, they leave. Okay? The higher your bounce rate, the more people who leave, the lower you get ranked on Google. Okay? Very important. So you have to make sure that your static keywords are page specific. Then what you want to do is you want to check your rank. So write this one down. Google provides, it's a free system called Google Search Console. It's a system that you enable on your, it's actually attached to your domain, but you enable it on your website. And Google at that point is going to just start collecting data on all your keywords that people type in to find your website. It's going to track impressions. An impression is basically just a view. It's going to track clicks of people actually viewing it and be like, oh, that's interesting. And then it's going to track how it ranks. So what page is it on and what position is it on? You know, like page 2, position 2 type thing. Okay, make sense so far? Now, The reason why you want to track your ranking is because you can start categorizing your sought after keywords. So I'm going to categorize like these are the ones for implants, these are the keywords for cosmetic, these are the keywords for endodontics, perio, whatever. Then what I want to do is I want to build content specifically targeted to those groups. And you usually do that through a blog. Now, just so we're on the same page with everyone, you don't have to take pictures if you don't want to. We're recording everything. So if you want a recording after, just send me or give me your email address and I can just send you the recording of it, okay? So you want to do this through a blog, okay? Now, everyone knows what a blog is, don't really know how it works, how it can benefit you. The first thing you want to do is you want to set up your back end. Now, you're going to set up your back end by basically providing a synopsis of what the back end is about. I'm a dentist, I'm in Toronto, these are the services that I do. So when Google scans this, they're like, okay, I'm going to show this blog to people that are online searching for those things. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to look at that search console for all your top ranking keywords, and then you're going to build content specifically for those keywords. Okay? So if your top keywords are, let's just say, abscesses. It doesn't happen. Abscesses is like the lowest. But let's just say, then you're going to build content specifically for abscesses. If it's about emergency, it's like, 10 tips for dealing with an emergency at home. What to do if you're having a dental emergency. How do you know if you're having a dental emergency, right? Types of dental emergencies. Now Google's like, wow, you have a lot of content for emergencies. You know what? Let's have you show up higher in the search result because you're now considered a library of content. So the more keywords you add into each blog post, the more people can find it. And then the more blog posts you have, the more you're going to get found over time, okay? Now, there are some specific things that you have to keep in mind. You need to post consistently, okay? The blog produces something called an RSS feed, okay? It's basically telling Google that you have fluid content on your website and you're posting consistently. Now, if they come to your website and you don't publish a new blog post every so often, they're going to start not scanning your website every so often. So when you have a blog on your website, they're going to scan it consistently. Could be every day, could be every week. But if you don't, they're going to scan it maybe once every 6 months. So the next time you post a blog, it's not going to be scanned for a few months. So you want to be posting consistently. Next, you want to include a minimum of 50 keywords. Okay? If it's, let's just say dental implants, you could have like dental implants near you, dental implants near me, right? In the content. So it doesn't just have to be static, it can be a dynamic combination. But you want to include a bunch of keywords in each blog post. After that, you want to limit the blog to no more than 2,000 words. Why? Name of the game is conversion. Okay? If you put way too many words on there, you're going to lose the patient in the details. They're not going to want to read it. Too much content, they're going to be like, ah. They're going to look at it and they're going to get all frustrated. Okay? So 750 to 1,500 is typically the ballpark, no more than 2,000. And then use custom images and videos. And the reason why you want to do this is because on the back end of each image or video is something called alt text, ALT text. It's like one of the top things Google looks at. You heard pictures worth 1,000 words? Google thinks so too. Google images, right? You search something and then you see the word images. That's what that is, right? So if it's a picture of a girl, drinking a Starbucks coffee, on the back end of the picture, it's like girl drinking Starbucks coffee, great smile, teeth, Dr. Brandon dentistry, right? Something like that. So next time somebody types in girl drinking Starbucks, that's going to help you show up higher in the images. Everyone with me so far? Now, when I say use custom images, I'm also not talking about pictures of just you with your patients in your own operatories. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is using stock photos, but putting on a filter over the picture, right? Or putting your logo stamp on the picture itself, okay? So customize the picture a little bit. Does anybody have any questions about a blog?
Yeah. What about using AI?
Like ChatGPT? The problem with using ChatGPT, we found that it replicates the content, even if you ask for new content to be created. So we've tried it multiple times where some of the sentences are literally the same. It produces in the exact same format every single time. And blogs can't be written in the same format, okay? And the other problem is when you ask it to cite sources, it makes the sources up. It's not real.
External links?
External links or people that don't exist, quotes that have never been actually quoted, things like that. So ChatGPT is good, but only for snippets, not for full pages of content. So if you're having trouble writing or answering a specific question, ask it and then kind of rewrite it yourself. Any other questions on blog?
When you have keywords for blog,
Yeah. Yeah, but you can take one static and then have 50 dynamic combinations attached to it. So if you want to write about implants, it's like, should I get a dental implant in Toronto? Well, there's different types of dental implants. You can have a single tooth dental implant. You could have, full arch dental implant, that sort of thing. Okay? Any other questions on blog? Perfect. Now, regardless of whether you do a standard Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook, a standard profile page on your website or a blog post, there are specific places on here that you need to optimize, specifically on your website. So one of those places is in the tab of the actual browser itself. So these are where you put static and dynamic keywords so Google can pick up on it. Next is in the URL suffix, so after the .com or .ca. After that are the navigation tabs. I'm sure all of you have Googled something and it says like home, about, services, contact on like Google. That's what that is. So make sure that they're not long, but they're short and concise. After that is something called the page header. Now, there's about 200 things that Google looks at. In the top 20, the page header is like one of those top 5 items. Okay? This is called an H1 header. There's H2, H3, H4, all the way up to H6. This needs to be static and dynamically optimized. So, bad breath treatment, I could have just left it there, but I put in Victoria, BC. So the next time somebody Googles that, this page is going to help them show up number 1. After that is the page summary, which tells Google what the synopsis of what the page is about. Then you've got the page content, and the content needs to be ranked according to how much traffic it generates. Don't put content at the top of the page that people don't care about. Put it at the bottom of the page. And you don't determine that. Google determines that. Right? So Google, like that search console, tells you all the keywords that people show up for. So when you're writing a page of content, you can put the sought after stuff near the top. After that, you're going to do something called titles and descriptions. So on the back end of a website, you have a title and you have a description. One of the top 2 items that Google looks at. So this is one of the very few things, or these two are one of the very few things that Google will actually take from your site and show on a search engine result. So if you Google anything right now, you're going to see 3 things. You'll see the website link. You'll see big letters, the title of the page, and then you'll see a short blurb of that particular page. You have to make sure that the title and the description are page specific. I can't stress that enough. Do not say Brandon Dentistry, root canals. Brandon Dentistry, dental implants. Brandon Dentistry, teeth whitening. Because Google's going to look at that and be like, okay, well, this isn't relevant to the search, so goodbye, right? Like you'll be at the bottom of the list. Okay, so if we're talking about dental implants, it's like, need to replace a missing tooth? We can help. In the description, it's going to say whether you need a single tooth or a full arch, give us a call. We can do the restoration and the surgery, same day appointments, free consultations, something like that. Next time somebody Googles dental implants free consultation near me, that title and description will help you show up higher in the organic search results. Everyone with me on that? Okay, now the title and description, I can't stress it, needs to be page specific. Okay, so don't just say Brandon Dentistry root canal, think about it from the patient's perspective. If a patient's looking for a root canal and yours just says Brandon Dentistry root canal, do you think the patient's going to click on it? Or are they going to click on having a toothache? Maybe you need a root canal. Which one do you think they're going to click on? Probably the toothache because they can resonate with it, right? So you have to do this for every single page of your website. Every single page, including every single blog post, so keep that in mind. Then you have to enable something called local business schema. This is a page of code that you add to your website that helps Google Maps find and navigate local businesses to present to local searchers. The closer someone is to your office, the higher you get found on that search result. Any questions on optimization at all? Perfect. Now, why is optimization important? Well, there's a lot of keywords that you can be typing into Google. Lots of different combinations. When a patient takes a keyword and pops it into Google, essentially what we want is to have that particular page to show up. So you can see in this circumstance, they have one subpage. There's no implant page, there's no restoration page, there's no other orthodontic page or whatever. They have one page, one subpage showing up because that's what they typed in. So what does the patient do when they type that in? They click on it. Okay, now the page title and page description you can update and modify as time goes on. Okay, but this is essentially what you want to have happen. You want the patient to go from the home page to the services page to the service, or do you just want them to go from Google right to the services page? Google the services page. This way it keeps your bounce rate low. Everyone with me so far? Good. Now, Google Business Profile. How many of you have claimed your Google Business Profile so far? Show of hands. Show of hands. Like half? That's good. Okay, if you haven't, all you have to do is find the business, click own this business, verify that you're actually the owner. Now, if you do have ownership, you want to edit the profile. How many of you have actually edited your profile? Completely edited your profile? You think you have. If I look at it, do you think it's going to be complete? Most of the time, it's not. Usually you're missing service descriptions. You might list the services, but the descriptions could be missing. The pictures could be missing. The hours of operation might be there, but the holiday hours are missing, right? The insurance information might be missing. Your certain contact information might be missing. Your industry might be the wrong industry. Pictures might be missing, stuff like that. It usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to update this entirely. Now, if any of you have multiple offices, once you do that, you can categorize all of them by creating a My Business or a Google Business profile, and then you can categorize all of them into different subcategories if you have multiple locations. Now, once Google is done, you want to do the same thing on Bing. You want to create a Bing Maps place, right? How many of you still use Bing? Did you know that it's 35% of the world still uses it because it's the default browser for Microsoft PC computers? And the default browser for Microsoft Edge. It's not Google, it's Bing that you're searching on. So fun fact for you. Now what you want to do is you want to have a Bing Places page. So instead of spending 2 to 4 hours updating a Bing page, what you're going to do is you're going to go to bingplaces.com, you're going to go sign in, you're going to log in through the exact same credentials you just did your Google, because they actually talk to each other. Now once you're in, you're going to sync your profile. All you have to do is click the sync button. That's it, very simple. You click sync and then it takes all the information. Now it's not 100% accurate, it takes about 95% of it, so you do have to edit it. So once you have the profile, it's properly synced, you're going to click edit on the profile and just confirm everything's accurate. Hours, holiday hours, insurance, services, things like that. This will probably take you about 5 minutes once it syncs to Google. Very quick. Okay? Any questions on that? Perfect, means I'm doing a good job. Then you want to use a chatbot. How many of you have a chatbot enabled on your website? Here's a fun fact for you. If you had 100 people go to your website, 100 people, without a chatbot, you're going to get about 8 leads. With a chatbot, 11 leads. Not everybody can call you for one reason or another. Not everybody has the capability of calling you. Not everybody wants to fill out a web form and wait 3 days for a response. Chatbots give an instant responses, even if it's automated. Okay, so there's 2 types of chat systems. You have a live chat and you have a chat bot. A live chat requires an agent to respond. The problem with those is that unless you're glued to the screen as the agent, ready to type back to that person, they're not going to want to talk to you if you don't respond back within 5 seconds. So chat bots are always preferred. Now there's 2 types of chat systems you can have, chat bot systems. You can have one that gives you preset responses and one that requires free text. Free text is through AI, never recommended, because if the patient says something to the bot might not respond. Because it's like, all right, I can't understand this, so what do I do? Right? The bot just kind of freezes, and then the patient's like, screw this, and then they're going to leave. Okay? So we always prefer to have a question and a series of responses, and they can be manipulated and changed time and time and time again. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up a bunch of procedures. Okay? These are scenarios of what the bot is ultimately going to be broken down into. Then you're going to create a story for each one of these. So what is the bot going to say when the person engages with this component of it? Then what you're going to do is you're going to tie them together. Now it looks complicated, but I promise you it's about 100 times more complicated. Okay? This column talks about cosmetic. At the end it says, do you want to book an appointment for a cosmetic? Learn about veneers, teeth whitening, bonding. Patient says, you know what, tell me about veneers. Then it says, okay, here's the info on veneers. Do you want to book an appointment for veneers? Learn about teeth whitening, bonding, or something else. Patient says, you know what, let's book an appointment. So the bot says, okay, can I get your name, email, phone, best time to call, and primary concern? In succession, like it doesn't ask all of them at once, because that'll overwhelm somebody. Now, once you get that filled out, you get a form that looks like this. It says, hey, just letting you know, Brandon's looking for veneers. Here's his conversation, his chat history. Please give him a call. So all you have to do is pick up the phone and call them back. How many of you, when you get a web form or a chatbot lead, call your leads back, or do you email them? How many of you call them back? How many of you email them back? What's the percentage, do you remember, that you email where it goes into the spam box? 70%. You get a web form, you email them back, basically you're just bye-bye. Okay? They're not going to message you back because they're not getting the email. Call them. How many of you have seen Wolf of Wall Street? Pick up the phone and start dialing. Literally, you get a lead, you call them back. That's costing you money. Earn that money back. Call them back, okay? Call them back. I promise you, if that's the only change that you do by calling patients back or calling leads back, you're gonna close more people, okay? This is how a chatbot functions. Very simple. Here's the question, series of responses. Every response you click on, it takes you down a pathway. Every pathway, it asks for your contact information. Pretty simple? Okay. Now, we want to start building your website popularity. So, best way to do that is to get found on directories. How many of you have ever used a directory before? Everyone should put up their hand, right? Yellow Pages, RateMDs, Health Grades, Manta, Better Business Bureau. Like, there's tons of them out there. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is you want to find the directory and you want to create a profile or claim your profile. And when you do that, you're going to update every piece of information on here. And the reason you do this is because the very last item on this list is called a website URL or a backlink. Now, backlink is a link that leads to your website not from Google, but from an alternative source. The more backlinks you have, the higher you get ranked. Now, the caveat is that the information that you put here needs to be accurate according to the Google profile that you did a few slides ago. If it's not, Google does not care. They don't care that you put all this information. If your name on Google is Brandon Dentistry, but on Yellow Pages is Brandon Dental Clinic, Google's not going to care about any of this, especially the backlink. So you have to make sure whatever's on Google is also on every directory. Now, there are lots of directories that you can be on. Lots, hundreds, sometimes thousands in a particular area. So instead of doing this on an individual basis, you would essentially work with something called an aggregator. An aggregator disseminates information on your behalf. There's local aggregators, national aggregators, and industry-specific aggregators. And so an aggregator is basically a group that controls other groups of directories. There's consumer aggregators that you can work with, commercial ones we can work with. Some are free, some are paid. Some are industry specific, some are not, right? There's lots of different types. Some only work with a few directories, some work with hundreds. So the objective here is not to work with individual directories, but to work with aggregators on a mass scale. So they're pushing your information out to as many people as possible. And the reason why you want to do this is because it creates links. Now there's three kinds of links. Internal link that goes from page to page. External link that goes from your page to an external source. These are both things that you can control yourself. Then you've got directory links or backlinks. These are links that go to external places or go from external places to your site. So this is not owned by you. So Google takes more care on this particular one. Okay? Now, that system I explained to you earlier, Google Search Console, also has a tab on it that lets you see all the links, how many you have, and where they are. So not only does it give you a list of all the keywords you rank for, it also tells you where all the links are that lead to your site. And this is a free system. This is ideal for a marketing agency. Honestly, for most of you that are not involved in marketing, you're going to look at this and be like, I honestly don't care. I just want patients, right? But from a marketing perspective, this is extremely important information for us to know. Because this way we can see where the links are that are actually working. Any questions on this at all? Perfect. Next, we want to do website accessibility feature. How many of you have seen that feature before? This little guy, right? Or features similar to that. Okay, it's called website accessibility feature, okay? It's for WCAG compliance, the website accessibility guidelines, okay? So this allows your website to be used and engaged with by people with disabilities. Now, I'm not talking about physical disabilities. I'm talking about vision impairment. I see some people with glasses. I, in fact, am colorblind and have used this before, right? Other people might have hearing impairment, right? So for one reason or another, they can't engage with your site, so we enable a feature like this, okay? And this allows your website to have quite a few different cool things. It can increase the text size, increase the amount of space between each letter. It can have the website read to you. It can change its contrast or color. It even has a modification on here for dyslexic people. So it's actually pretty cool. And a license like this, it's usually like $100 a month. Like, it's not expensive for stuff like this, or less, right? Now, its primary function is to help people with disabilities. Its secondary function is that it helps with optimization. The longer people stay on your site, doesn't matter what they're doing, the higher you get found. So even people without disabilities use this stuff because when you start changing around the website, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? And so it keeps people on your website longer. The other primary benefit for SEO, or search engine optimization, is that it makes your website technologically advanced. So out of the 200 things that Google looked at, in the top 20, there's like 6 of them that have to do with technology, right? Is my website properly secure? Does it load fast, right? Does it format correctly? Is it technologically advanced for people with disabilities? Okay, so this gives you bonus points on Google. So its primary function helps with those with disabilities, secondary helps with optimization. Any questions on that? Perfect. Next, we want to ask for reviews. How many of you, by show of hands, are asking your patients for reviews? How many of you have asked them to include specific keywords in those reviews? Right. Google indexes the review. So the next time you Google something and you type in like best dentist near me, I don't know, something like that. In the map section, it's actually going to highlight someone's review that says like best dentist in the area. So you have to ask your patients, would you mind including a couple of, keywords for us? It'll really help us out. If they love you, 100%, they'll probably include like best dentist here, best dentist there, best, right? Like now it's a little bit too on the nose, but you want to ask them just to include 1 or 2 because it would really help you out, and try to change the keywords every time you talk to someone, right? You could have 100 reviews, but if there's no keywords in there, Google's not going to care. You want to show up higher, include some keywords. Now, best way to generate reviews is through a survey, right? Send a survey to your patients post-appointment. They click the survey, goes to your website, typically not through the navigation, like a special link on your website that's not visible. And they complete the survey, like rank this out of a scale of 1 to 10. It's a series of questions. If the survey scores above 90%, you can actually have it redirect to a review site to leave you a review. If it scores below 90%, it just says, thanks, have a great day. This way it keeps any negative comments offline. And then you're sent the survey so you can do your own internal evaluation. Next is the sign in the waiting room. Best one I've ever seen, one of my clients asked for a custom tile. You lean back in his operatory, and on the ceiling it says, please leave us a review with a QR code. It's like the best thing ever. This guy's got 1,100 reviews. Okay? Next way is you can ask for it during the appointment. Pick and choose your moments. Here's a bill for $5,000, and would you mind leaving me a review? Might be a little bit hard to get that. And then you could ask in an email post-appointment. This is different than the survey because this, you're specifically sending a personalized message like, hey Brandon, thanks a bunch for coming in. Would you mind leaving me a review? Here's our link. Yeah, you know what? I really hated you guys. No, he was really mean, didn't like him, 0 stars if I could. And I'm going to leave it under a fake name so you never know it's me. I'm sure all of you might have experienced that at some point. So if you're going to send an email post-appointment, just send the survey. It's always preferred. And you're going to do this because everyone is influenced by reviews. Fun fact though, it's not just the patients that can leave reviews. It's your staff can leave reviews. Your vendors can leave reviews. And you can even leave a review about yourself. Why would you not? Like, I'm a great dentist. I've got a great smile. I'll give you one too, right? Like, why would you not do that? And then you can do it on Google, Facebook, Yelp, RateMDs, Health Grades, Better Business Bureau. You can leave yourself a review in like 10 different places. Today, you can do it right now, right? And you can get your staff and your friends to do that. You got like 100 reviews by the end of the day, right? Now, don't do that because it will look fake. So go after a couple people every week or two. By the end of the month, by the end of the year, you'll have like over 100 reviews, okay? And like I said, Google indexes it, okay? So ask them to include a couple of keywords for you. It'll help out. Next are Google Ads. How many of you are running an ads campaign right now on Google? Specifically, are you paying for it yourself, or how many of you are running it paying for it yourself or paying a marketing agent for it? One person? Come on, I don't believe that. How many of you are doing it? Ah, right, there's a couple other hands. There we go. Okay, so Google Ads. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to connect your analytics data with your Google Ads data, okay? Mainly because if that piece wasn't there and I started a Google Ads campaign for you, I'm basically playing a guessing game. I don't know what keywords to type in, so I'm just going to guess on these keywords. I'm going to guess on what times a day. I'm going to guess on what services. I have no idea because I don't have any data to tell me. So the reason why you want to connect analytics to Google Ads is because it gives me all that data. Google Analytics tells me the natural data. People are online looking for these things. So I say, okay, I'll take the time of day, the keywords, and the services, and then I'll just build content around that. It's literally that simple. The main problem why people typically don't see the results is it's poor execution, right? It's literally that simple. Look at the data, create the content based on that data, okay? So if I see people are online at 8 o'clock at night, what time of day do you think I'm gonna advertise? 8 o'clock at night. Now, you can't just let the two of them talk and then just kind of like do whatever they want to do, so you have to fine tune it. So you want to tell it what procedures you want. Fillings, crowns, bridges, implants, veneers, emergencies, root canals, whatever. Then it's going to come back and say, okay, well, here's a list of all the keywords I found. What should I do with these? And so there's 3 types of keywords. You have broad, exact, and negative. A broad match keyword is 1 or 2 words that match a sentence. An exact keyword is a phrase specifically that someone's got to type in. And a negative keyword is something you don't want to show up for. So like as an example, I don't want to show up for free teeth whitening ODSP. I do want to show up for Zoom teeth whitening free consultation. Make sense? Then what you want to do is you want to tell what time of day to promote. Show of hands. I want somebody to answer this. What time of day do you think is best to run your Google ads? Anybody want to take a shot in the dark? Lunch? Do you think it's the best time? 10? Wow, you were all right. Best time of day to promote is between 6 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. Because you're going to get 60% of your leads after your office is already closed. Evenings and weekends. I'm a father of 2. Do you think I have time during the day? I run a highly successful global marketing agency, and I'm a father of 2. And I'm a coach for my son's baseball team. I have no time during the day to look at anything. If you're going to get an email from me, it's going to be like after hours, because that's when I've got time. And that's when the majority of people have time. So you're going to advertise 7 days a week, 6 a.m. until 11 at night. The reason why that time frame is because the conversion between 11 until 6 a.m. the next day is virtually 0. So you don't want to waste your time during those times advertising. Now, the reason why you want to advertise even when your office is closed, you'll get an email, they know you're closed, they'll expect a message back the next day. Next, your content. 6 o'clock on a Saturday, somebody types in best teeth whitening provider near me, your ad pops up. What does it say? Every single time I see ads, it's going to say, teeth whitening, call now, or some variation. But why did the person type in teeth whitening? Have stained teeth? Give us a call. Big life event coming up, getting married, going to college, going out back to school, we can fix your smile. Right? Don't have time for in-office whitening? Try our take-home whitening kits. Okay, the objective here is to figure out what content works with what keywords at what times of day to get you those best results. It's not just about going after the service. You have to go after the emotion behind the keyword. That's how you're going to get conversions. And then your budget. So let's say teeth whitening is $500. The average dentist in your area is spending $500 a month. You have to go in and spend $600. You have to spend 10 to 20% more than the average. You don't have to spend the most, just more than the average. Okay, now teeth whitening is not the only thing that you do. Keep that in mind. So you're going to need a budget for teeth whitening, for root canals, for crown and bridge, for emergencies, for peds, for sedation, and everything else you want patients for. So setting up a budget can be very expensive. Now, there is a limit to Google. Just because you want to give it $100,000 doesn't mean Google can take it, because Google charges based on clicks. No one's clicking, you do not pay. So let's just say you want to give Google $1,000 a month for teeth whitening. And they say, okay, well, I was only able to spend $400. So what do? Is you take the other budget and you build out an implants. Let's just say implants, because that's what you want leads for. Okay, and Google comes back and says I was only able to spend $200 out of the month. So you keep repurposing the budget. Eventually you're going to hit a max that you can do within a radius around your office. So at one point, you're going to have to expand your budget to include additional services. Once you're maxed on your services, if you want to spend more money, you're not going to increase the geographic radius, because what ends up happening is the conversion ratio drops dramatically. The only times people actually travel outside of a small geographic radius to go to a dentist is if they're going for full arches or orthodontics, primarily. Otherwise, they're just going to go to their local dentist. So instead of continuing to spend money in ads, you're going to come up with a different strategy like print marketing or advertising on social media or dating apps or whatever. And so in terms of the budget, there are keywords and also times of day. Okay, so let's just say the keywords, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 is $100 when somebody clicks on it. It's never $100, it's usually like $2. But let's just say, after 5, that could drop down to $2 a click. Because maybe you have less competition after 5, or because the keyword is less likely to convert after 5. So if you don't have an appropriate budget, you can't compete on keywords, times of day, compete with your competitors, bid on proper services, or in your own geographic location. So you need to have an appropriate budget. Now, 2 to 8 times in return is what you should expect back in immediate business, not including recalls. So if you spend $1,000, you should expect between 2 and 8 grand in return. Might not seem like a lot. So you want to spend appropriate for your area based on your growth goals. If your growth goals are, I want to get $50,000, you should probably be spending closer to like 10 grand a month. Okay, but understand that once that patient recalls in 4 to 6 months, that's free money that you're basically making back every time they recall. So just keep that in mind, okay? Any questions on ads? Perfect. Next is social media. Now we start with Facebook and Instagram, but really like this encompasses all social. We choose to start with Facebook and Instagram because they're the ones that everybody knows. But there's TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, everything that you can do. First thing what you want to do is you want to update your profile. Okay, so you want to update your pictures, update your contact information, update your logo, whatever it is. Then what you want to do is you want to set up your automated responses. So Facebook has a very simple chat system. It says, hey, welcome to our page. Here's our hours and contact information. How can we help? After that, it's going to ask you to set up the pixel. So pixel is basically an analytics system that tracks demographic information, age, gender, marital status, kids, jobs, stuff like that. So if I look at it and it says you get a lot of traffic for people with kids, what do you think we're going to be building the post around? People with kids, right? So once the post is officially created, once the post is officially created, you want to engage with them, right? And engagement means like if they comment, you reply. If they share, you share back. If they like a post, you like one of theirs. These last 3 items are cyclical, which means you have to look at the pixel, create the post, engage. Look at the pixel, create the post, and engage. Doesn't matter what platform you're on, that's basically how you do it. Okay? Now, once you have a history of creating solid content, both from stock images and personal images, you want to promote it on Meta. Meta is basically Facebook's way of competing with Google Ads. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to build your audiences. And you're building your audiences based on the demographic information. So here's an audience group for men, an audience group for women, audience group for people with kids, without kids, under 30, over 30. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to build posts targeted towards these people. And you can have more than one. You could have like 3 posts, you could have 10 posts. You're going to run like an A/B test type thing to see which post performs better. Then what you're going to do is you're going to adjust the time frame, frequency, and radius. That will ultimately determine your budget. If the spend is too much, then you have to adjust when the ads appear, how often they appear, and the radius you're ultimately targeting in. Now, a cool thing about these posts is that when somebody engages with them, you can invite them to like your page. So not only is this going to help generate patients, it's going to help generate followers for you. Okay? Any questions on that at all? Perfect. Now, after everything's done, digitally, you want to review and modify. So what I mean by that is you have to take one system to improve the other. So your website traffic, this is going to tell us your bounce rate, what pages people came from to land on your website, what pages they click on your website. Your Google Analytics is going to track keywords people are typing in and times of day they're searching. Your Facebook Analytics is going to track your demographic details. Not one system has all the answers. So what do? Well, let's just say I go to Google and I look at the analytics and it says 8 o'clock at night, you get a lot of people searching for implants. I say, that's interesting. So I go to Facebook, I create an implant post at 8 o'clock at night. I look at that analytics and it says, you have a lot of people over the age of 60 looking at this page, specifically men. So I go back to your website and I change the imagery on the implant page to coincide with men over the age of 60. So the more people who land on that page are more likely to convert because they can resonate with the imagery. Make sense? Yeah, this is how it's done. Typically, it's the execution that usually falls through, staying consistent with something like this. Now, once all the digital stuff is done, go beyond digital. There's lots of cool things. I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas, so grab your piece of paper and pen. Printed flyers, I'm sure all of you have tried that. Radio, buses, billboards, these all cost money. Movie theaters, if you want to run like an ad at Cineplex or something like that, you can have a commercial run before the movie starts. It's pretty cool. Community sponsorships, I'm sure all of you know what that is. Business partnerships, that's like setting up your cosmetic dentist. Go into a tanning salon and say, can I advertise my teeth whitening in each one of your tanning beds? How many of you ever thought about that? Right? Seminars at nursing homes, schools, Girl Guides, and Scouts. Talk to them about proper oral care. Give them all a free mouth guard or something like that, right? Or you get a free custom mouth guard, or you go to a sports team. Get a free custom mouth guard for every new patient exam. How many patients are you going to get from that idea? Additional ideas for you. Packages to colleagues. If there's something specific you do, everyone in your area does implants, but you're the only one who actually places the implant. Bribe them. Take them out to dinner, right? Like get them to give you their implant patients, and then you can give them back the restoration. Okay? But develop friendships like that, right? Presents for kids. Holidays are coming up. Here's a cool idea. Get a Christmas tree, menorah, whatever you believe in. Go to the dollar store, pick up 50, 100 different presents, wrap them in some custom wrapping paper with your logo on it. Every kid that comes in, give them a present, say, don't open it until Christmas. Okay? Every family member that comes over for the holidays, that kid's gonna be like, look what I got from my dentist. To every family member. I had one office do this last year and the year before that. December, and before that, it typically generates about 40 patients a month. January's 90, 100, 120 patients. Easy, like every January. Okay, great idea. Do something like that. Plans for businesses. This is like what you could do is you could set up kind of like your own insurance by going into like large corporations and ask if they want to pay for dental insurance for their patients, or not for their patients, for their staff. So there's cool ideas that you can do that way. Then partnerships with sports teams. The coolest one I've ever done, Major League Soccer, if anybody's a fan of like the Columbus Crew, we help one of our offices with a sponsorship to the Columbus Crew. So they're the official Major League Soccer like sponsorship for that specific team. It's pretty cool. It costs them $100,000 a year. We negotiated that contract, so it's pretty neat. Add images. So, what's wrong with these 3 images? Anybody want to take a guess? No, it's not that they're too small. I could blow them up for you. They could have been the whole size of this. There's no patience. Do you think the average person who looks at this, let's say I'm a family dentist, and that's a family dentist, I'm a parent, I'm looking for a dentist that can deal with kids. If I look at images like this, your logo, your staff pictures, high-tech office, do you think I'm going to care? I'm not going to care. So you have to include pictures of kids specifically if you want patients that are families. You have to do that. Okay? If you want cosmetic procedures or aesthetic dentistry or whatever it might be, include before and afters. Very important. And pictures and videos of your office, specifically your office. Don't use stock for it. Stock photos are good just for like procedures to explain what like an inlay or an onlay is, because that's very hard to do on an actual patient. Okay? Now, it's not just your website that's going to have these pictures. Okay? Google Business is going to have the same ones. Bing Places, social media, printed flyers, email. They're all going to have the same pictures. The same pictures, not different, the same. The reason why is because it helps to create your brand. I'm the only person out there in a white lab coat. How many of you noticed that? The only person in a white lab coat on that floor. Everyone else is in a suit. Now, when you go walking the floor, you're going to be like, okay, that's Brandon. I saw his presentation. Because you can recognize it. What's your brand? Okay? Put that on here. Now, don't change your pictures every so often. So our rule of thumb is every 2 years. Okay? Then you update the pictures. If you're updating a staff picture, you can do that whenever they come on. Specifically, I'm talking for marketing-related images. Okay? Next, you want to combine your marketing efforts. So don't reinvent the wheel. Do not do that. So email marketing and social media. You create a newsletter for your patient, literally copy the message and put it on social media. It's that simple. Okay? Next is creative versus general brand. Look, you're a dentist, they're a dentist. Okay? You both do dentistry the exact same way, but what makes you different? Well, I've got a polka dot white lab coat or a polka dotted lab coat, right? I give out ducks to kids. I don't know. What makes you different? Okay? Figure that out, and that's why you're going to get patients. Blogging and optimization. Can't just put a blog on your website and expect people to find it. Can't do that. You have to optimize it. You got to put keywords in there. Print and Google and Meta advertising. Fun fact, if I did a print campaign for one office in a geographic radius and then ran a print campaign for that same office in the same geographic radius, but I first started with a Google and Meta campaign, that print campaign will perform 2 to 3 times better. That's because somebody gets a flyer, they're like, Then they go to Google a couple weeks later looking for a dentist, they see an ad, they click on it, I'm not going to submit my information. Then they go to social media, they see an ad. I've seen that logo before. Where have I seen it? Click, sure, yeah, here's my information. That's how it works, okay? Personal and stock photo and video. Like I said, personal is always preferred, but stock photos are okay to use, specifically for procedures, okay? And then digital and beyond digital, okay? Like I was just saying with the print versus like print and Google and Meta advertising working together, these things work together. You can't just rely on just online marketing. You can't just rely on offline marketing. They have to correlate. They have to coexist. As a bonus tip, work with a professional. Professional marketing companies. Let's listen. You could do literally everything I just explained yourself. You could. But if you want to get into marketing, I'm always hiring. You can come work for me, right? Like if you want to get into marketing. This is an entirely separate animal of what we're getting into here. So instead of doing it yourself, hire someone. So a professional marketing company should be updating content, images, colors, fonts, keywords, fixing errors on directories, finding new ones, renewing domains, security licenses, attracting media, writing blogs, managing social media, print ads, and more. That's what a marketing company should do. Okay, now the benefit of working with doctor marketing is that we do this with dental expertise, which means we are PIPEDA and WCAG compliant. Okay, if you have an office in the US, it's HIPAA, UK, it's GDRP. We know the content behind the procedures, and we know how to explain it in a way that's not going to get you in trouble with the association or college guidelines. Now, common marketing mistakes. There's a lot of them. So I bullet point form them for us to go through, okay? So first one is incorrect phrasing. Do not use the word guarantee, love, best, or state of the art in anything that you do. Testimonials and reviews. Do not place written testimonial on your website because it's treated as a statement of fact that you publicly endorse. You can't prove that that person wrote it unless you sign like an affidavit with the patient specifically saying, I wrote this. So video testimonials are always preferred. And responding aggressively to negative reviews, don't want to do that, okay? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Incentives. Giving away money to earn reviews or referrals. Okay, that also includes electronic toothbrushes, gift cards, free teeth whitening for new patient exam. Here's an idea for you. Instead of giving away free teeth whitening, why don't you give it away to every patient for life, right? They pay for the Zoom teeth whitening, and then every time you recall, I'm going to top up your whitening gel. Do you have any idea how many patients you're going to get from that? I had one office, that was their only change. In 2 years, 2 years, he went from $1.3 to $2.5 million. That was the only change he did. Other offices, same concept. Buy an electronic toothbrush from us. We'll give you a free head every time you recall. Then you never have to buy another toothbrush again. Okay? Groups and associations. Don't list any study groups you're part of, continuing education courses you take, or positions you hold at an association. After that is contact info. So using incorrect title or designation. You can't call yourself the supreme dental ruler. I know you want to, but you can't. Okay, multiple websites for the same office appears deceptive. That's how you get blacklisted. And directory mistakes. Okay, fix the problems because that's actually what's costing you business. Okay, and then marketing. So promoting for services that you don't offer, plagiarism, improper explanations, and then a marketing budget. If you're overspending, if you're spending too little, you're not going to get the results you want. If you're spending too much, you could be overspending on very basic services. Now, top marketing FAQ questions. There's the biggest one, what do you spend? How much money? So we interviewed a bunch of different marketing companies over the last few years and put together some averages. So web design typically will cost between 1 to 10 grand, depending on if it's a template or a custom site. Emails are between $10 to $100 a month, depending on the security features, amount of space, and the provider. Chatbot systems are typically between $50 to $300 a month, depending on if it's a live chat or a chat bot. Next is a directory listing management. That's between $50 to $300 a month, typically from an average provider fixing problems, getting you found in new places. Review Booster is the custom survey. Okay, the custom survey that can auto send to patients post-appointment. So the reason for the fluctuation on this is it depends on if it's a manual system you have to send or if it's an automatic system. And then search engine optimization. This is the dynamic version, not static. So this is where you're getting added hundreds, sometimes thousands of keywords to your website. Social media is between 250 to 500. That depends on the platform and amount of space, platform and amount of posts. And then last one is ads management. Usually it's between 15 and 25%. So if your budget's $5,000, you're going to be spending on average about $1,000 just for the management of your ads campaign. So the more you spend, typically the more work is involved. Okay? So if your budget is $100,000, you're going to be spending about 20 grand just to manage the 100 grand. Okay? Because the more you spend, the more work is involved, the more often the campaign needs to be reviewed, the more content needs to be added, the more services, the more locations. Okay? Everything added up should be 1 to 4% of annual sales. So if your let's just say if you are booked 6 months in advance, you're about to sell your office and retire, it's 1% or less. If you just built out a new operatory, hired a new associate or new staff member, you're booked until next week, you've got schedules to fill, you're going to be 4% or more. Okay? Here's a couple tips and tricks to make sure that your marketing is actually working. Look at your website. Make sure that it's formatted correctly for every device size. A lot of people, when they get their website, they look at it, yeah, it looks right. This is your business. Look at the website. Make sure that you're happy with it. Search engine optimization. What you have to do, if you want to write this one down, right-click on any page of your website and click View Page Source. After that, you're going to see the code of the website. You're going to look for two things, title and description. Remember the title and description from optimization, one of the top things Google looks at? That's what you're going to look for to see if it says root canals, implants, or if it actually does say, sensitive to hot and cold, call now for a root canal or something like that. After that, our social media and blogs. Look at the posts, look at the hashtags, look at the content, look at the imagery, look at the consistency. Make sure that it's actually being done to your liking. This is ultimately your brand. I spoke to an office yesterday in BC, and she was paying for social media for 18 months. They hadn't posted in 6 months for her. 6 months, she didn't even know. Okay, so you have to look at this kind of stuff. And then ad spend. So typical patients will cost anywhere from $150 to $250 to generate. The reason for the fluctuation ultimately depends on the procedure you're wanting to promote for. Emergency patients, pediatric patients, or denture patients are typically less expensive compared to things that are needed for aesthetic reasons, right? Veneers, Botox, implants, orthodontics, stuff like that. So those patients are going to be a little bit more expensive. The other reason for the fluctuation is your staff. How many of your staff do this? Thank you for calling Brandon Dentistry Business right now. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know some people do that because I call offices all the time asking to speak to people just like you who hear my seminar, and the receptionist puts me on hold without even me allowing to say hello. That impacts the closing percentage. The average person will hang up after 30 seconds of being put on hold. Fun fact, the average receptionist will put you on hold for over 3 minutes. Yeah, let that sink in, because that patient or that lead costed you about $60, and your receptionist, just by picking up the phone and speeding through her introduction, just cost you just $60. The other reason for it is because there's no follow-up done. Pick up the phone and start dialing, right? That's what I said earlier. You have to call them back 4 to 5 to 6 times over the course of a week. I'm in a presentation right now, I already missed a phone call. I open my phone, that phone call notification is gone. Am I going to remember to call them back? Look how many people here I'm talking to. Am I going to remember to call them back? I have a very good memory, I'll probably remember, but the average person will not. They won't call you back because they're going to forget, and the average receptionist doesn't leave a voicemail. So how important is it that you call them back a second or third or fourth time or a different time of day? Instead of 9 a.m., you call at 5 or at lunchtime. Call them back at different times or different days, okay? That's how you're going to get more business from spending the same amount of money. Now, just a little bit about doctor marketing. Got a couple minutes left. We're a full service marketing team, so if you need anything, just call us, like text, email, it doesn't matter, whatever works for you. We only work with dental practices. That's all we do. We have no term contracts. Start today and tomorrow if you want to leave. That's cool, right? Like, we're easy, right? We save the average office 36 hours a month. Could you imagine taking a week every month to do everything that I just explained to you? No, you're not going to do that. Forget it. You're going to hire someone to do it for you. Now, we do like to take our time, be easy to understand, and offer effective and efficient service. And we've got partnerships with Google, Facebook, GoDaddy, Microsoft, and Constant Contact. You can actually find us on all their websites. So I mean, if these billion and actually Google's a $1 trillion company trust us, I think you should too. Now, in terms of services, everything, literally everything, anything digital, anything promotional. I just did an order for 20,000 lip balms for an office in the States. They have 17 locations, right? Sunglasses, I'm doing a billboard campaign for an office, right? Doesn't matter what you need marketing related, you can rely on us to help you get there. Now, in terms of case studies, I put together some case studies just to give you an idea of what other offices are spending in different locations and what they're doing. Now, I don't know if you can see that in the back. It's like website hosting. This one's very basic. This one's a little bit more involved with optimization and Google Ads. Same with this one. And then this one is pretty much everything. Now, I have other offices that are spending way, way more than this. My best performing office, they're probably only spending about $8,000 in marketing, but generated about 180 patients last month. New patients, like that's crazy, okay? So different offices, different locations, all require different marketing, but understand that every single person needs to start basic. I'm sorry, but if you're looking for a marketing company that is wanting to spend $5,000, oh, nice to meet you, can I have $5,000 a month? I'm not your guy. We're not gonna work, it doesn't work like that. So for us, we start small, we have to know if these things are gonna work before we start spending money on them. Okay, I don't wanna be taking your money and being like, ugh, that worked, but then look at all this wasted budget that you're not really looking at. I don't wanna do that, okay? We have to know if these things are gonna work before we start doing them. Questions? Got 3 minutes. Nobody has any questions? Okay.
Are you gonna work in this, let's say, is there a non-compete? You might take out one client?
Non-compete? Technically, we don't have to have a non-compete if we work together, okay? However, there are ethical standpoints to that. Like, I could risk losing my Google partnership if I take on too many clients in a specific geographic location.
That's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
I don't want, if let's say I'm gonna take you on, right? That's my marketing.
Yeah.
And then the guy across the street's gonna do it.
That honestly never happens. No, that never happens. They want to work with somebody else to compete against you. They're not going to want the same thing because they want to compete with you. They don't want the same thing as you. It never happens. And even if it does, I had one office, I had to reject them because they were 200 meters down the street from one of my clients, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Okay? If anybody has any other questions, I'll be standing at the back. There are some flyers and business cards. And if you want to follow up with me, send me your contact information and we can follow up post conversation, okay? All right, thanks everybody. And we have a course code for you as well.